Meanwhile, behind the facade of this innocent-looking bookstore, hopefully there's some people out there. Oh, it's an amazing world we live in, isn't it? I've got the smarty glasses. I'm ready. But wow. Normally there's at least a couple people in here by now. What the bloody hell? Oh, there we go. There they come. Interesting stuff in no man's land. Yes, do not adjust your screens. I am bald. Yeah, I've got the smarty glasses on and everything. Look, that and it's a day I'm not working at all, so I just screw this. I'm not putting any contact lenses in. Not that I don't mind contact lenses. It's just every now and then it helps to go back to your more intellectual looks. And oh, howdy, folks. For you folks just coming in, I just threw Stephen King on there because we never know where we end up, but I figure I'd start there. And it just amazes the shit out of me that you have such a talented author, yet you ever notice how these incredible stories, half of them, no, actually, I have to say maybe a third of them actually turn out good in a theater setting, where they've tried to translate it to movie. And then the other half, or other 2/3 or whatever, are just, oh my God, utter shit. It just happens all the time. It's like, let's focus back, shall we? You've had your good ones. You've had like Stand By Me. That was based off a short story out of different seasons called The Body. Then you had Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, which was based on, became The Shawshank Redemption out of the same set of, novels. But then you had, oh God, the only person you can blame Maximum Overdrive on, which by the way is so bad it's actually good. Looking back on it now, it's still a movie I pop in and watch just to get a laugh. Then they tried to seriously adapt it, but it was originally based off a story called Trucks. And I can't remember which book that is off the top of my head, out of the brain noggin. But they did try to make a serious adaptation out of it, but it still didn't have that corny ass, funny ass thing of Maximum Overdrive had. It just didn't, hit the mark. And it's just, you sit back, you really enjoy something, and you always wonder, what's this going to look like if they make a movie into it? And the thing of the matter is, like I said, we all had high expectations for certain things, and then they fall very, very short of the mark. Like, Green Mile. Yeah, very good example. Excellent book. Very well done. And then, you have other ones like the Dark Tower movie. Oh. Now, the only thing the Dark Tower movie had going for it was Idris Elba. And oh man, it sucked. But the thing of the matter was, a lot of people, the Cell movie, it wasn't great. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed watching it, but it wasn't no Oscar-worthy, adventure in any way, shape, or form. But the problem was with the Dark Tower movie. A lot of people don't know that Ron Howard, you remember Ron Howard, who for some reason became Hollywood's redheaded stepchild when Willow flopped? But he's going on to do a lot of other great projects. And he went around everywhere for over a decade or more trying to he wanted to make the Dark Tower series of novels on the same level as, as Lord of the Rings. But the problem was nobody would do it. He went to everybody, I think including Netflix. And even then, they shot him down. But then this other studio picks it up and they do this easy bake oven, shit job of it. And it was just, oh man, Idris Elba was wasted on that movie because They tried to jam elements from 7 books. A couple of more were which, if I remember right, were well over 1,000 pages into this one movie. And don't worry, it happens all the time. Like the same thing happened with Queen of the Damned, by Anne Rice. Queen of the Damned is where they took the vampire Lestat and what was the one? Not I'm trying to think of it, and it's on top of my brain. It wasn't Tale of the Body Thief, but they took vampire Lestat and the Queen of the Damned, and here's 2,000, 1,000, two 1,000 page plus books, and they tried to slam it into a 90-something minute movie, and the thing was such shit. It really was. I'm not lying to you. That originally it was shelved. They were never going to release that movie, but then sadly, the singer Ilea died. And immediately somebody at the studio stopped up and goes, wait a minute. Don't we got something with her in it we can cash in on? And that's why Queen of the Damned even saw the light of day, was the fact that they were cashing in on the tragedy of Ilea's death. That's the only reason you ever saw that movie. The screenings on it were so bad, people literally got up and walked out of the screenings, which were free, okay? I don't even think they could have an open bar and people make it through Queen of the Damned. It was that bad. And for me having read all those books, I made it all the way up to, I think, Pandora. And then I just gave up on it because the problem is Anne Rice gets a bit predictable after a while. She cashes in on homoerotic imagery, which is, if your thing, isn't bad, but it becomes a repeating pattern. Somewhere in those books, there are 2 guys who will be, have done, or are currently boning. And it's like, it gets predictable. It's just, okay, who's boning, who did he bone, and who will he be boning? I tried reading Servant of the Bones, and it was horrible. I know we wandered off on Anne Rice, but it's just for some reason with movie adaptations, they try to scrinch, they try to put their version of the author's vision up and thing. But the thing is, sometimes, like we've seen with other movies, when you put the author in charge, it could be a disaster. But then again, I think King had pretty much a ton of control on The Stand. Anybody remember that one? Not that one back I think it was in the 90s when it was a little ways back. Matter of fact, it was Gary Sinise, one of his first major appearances in projects. He literally did not get become an actor heavily in the movies until he was in his 40s. But he had Gary Sinise, Rob Lowe, Molly Ringwald, Ray Walston, Ozzie Davis. It was like an all-star cast out the yin yang. But the thing about it was, by the way, and look around in that movie, you'll see Sam Raimi, John Landis, and a bunch of other older guys who was, who were involved in it. They did little cameos here and there. Matter of fact, I think it was Sam Raimi was the guy who got beat the shit out of by Randall Flagg because he shot the judge in the face. I don't like, or here's my problem. I growing up, I watched someone brought up Salem's Lot. When I saw the original version as a kid, okay, I can do that. It scared the shit out of me. But when I tried to go back and watch it as an adult, this is what happens. An accurate simulation. But then, how many have seen the remake of Salem's Lot with Rob Lowe and the title character as Ben Mears? I really enjoyed that, and here's why. A lot of people don't know this, but when Anne Rice originally voted, I'm kind of jumping genres here, but there's a reason. Hang in there. I'm getting to the point. But Anne Rice, when she originally wrote Lestat, she based him off a very young Rutger Hauer, which was why it was very, very fitting that when they brought someone in to play the master vampire in the remake of Salem's Lot, Rutger Hauer stepped into the role. It'll hit me in a minute. I know Straker was played by Donald Sutherland, who I've loved in just every damn thing he's ever done. The names circling, it was Straker and there was Mr. Barlow. So you had Rutger Hauer as Barlow. And like I said, it was an incredible movie. I enjoyed it. But you'll know, yeah, I thought it was a very well done remake. It captured some of the elements of the original, but it also did some really, really new things that kind of got left behind in the other one. And that's why I kind of enjoyed it. I know, don't you hate that when you grow up, you go back and you rewatch something and it's like, oh my God, this sucked ass. But you're seeing it from a different perspective as you get older. And it's like, the thing is this, go back and rewatch Interview with a Vampire. It stuck very closely with the book. They did change a few elements here and there. Like they changed, originally it was the guy's brother. Like I said, homoeroticism. The lead character's brother had passed away. It wasn't his wife and daughter or wife and child or something. So they changed that bit of it. But like I said, Louis, it was Louis's brother who had died in the novel. But other than that, they do stick close to it. But I did like the fact they threw in that little twist ending at the end. But a lot of people do not know. And like I said, if you're just coming into this now, originally the role of the interviewer for Interview with the Vampire was supposed to be played by River Phoenix. And sadly, he passed away just before they were going to, sometime just before they started production on the movie. And that's why Christian Slater stepped in and took over the role. And I believe he donated all his earnings from that movie to a charity or to a foundation, for River Phoenix. That he had, I can't remember the exact details, but it went to charity basically, because the only reason he took the role was because his friend had died. And it was such tragedy, River Phoenix. He was such an up and comer guy. Was an incredibly handsome fella for his age. And once again, it's another tragic tale of wasted youth. And sadly, I think it was the same mix that killed John Belushi. The same mix of drugs. Okay, someone goes, why do we have reality TV shows and cable TV is dying? Because streaming services are now king. All right, let me explain this. All right. Don't worry, I knew we'd wander off topic. That's why I said Stephen King and whatever the hell else is in it, because cable TV cannot compete with streaming. And here's the problem. One of the reasons why I got rid of cable TV decades ago is because you can only watch a movie on whatever time they show it. And half the time they'll have a featured movie of the month that they showed 100 frickin' times in a week. No matter what time you'd flick it on, sometimes like HBO, Cinema, they do make great shows. You'd flick it on and it's never on. It's some other damn movie they're featuring that month. And whereas a streaming site, you can go to a streaming site, hit the thing, and bam, you're watching what you want to watch, commercial free, uninterrupted, unless you want to go to take a piss, and you can get the pause button, which is something else you can't do on cable TV. So cable TV, like, Betamax and everything else, is going the way of the dinosaur. Matter of fact, I highly predict you're not even going to have televisions made within the next 30, 40, 50 years at most, because it'll just be a stand-up computer just like the ones already selling. They call it an all-in-one, which amazes the living shit out of me, the all-in-one, because, well, yeah, you can pause TV now, but like I said, you still got to get something to do it for you, such as a service. Whereas you don't have to have a service to be on a streaming service. You can just do it right there. On through the, you don't have to go out and get a DVR. You don't have to get what was that shit they had around for the longest time that everybody, TiVo. You don't have to get a TiVo, pay them or anything like that. Boom. So that's why cable TV is going the way of the dodo. Just like I remember when you didn't need to have a digital scrambler box or whatever to watch television. You went out, you bought a television, you hooked the fucking antenna to it, and you turned the fucker on. That was that simple. And now, if you want to watch television, you either got to get cable or a digital antenna. You don't get a regular antenna. You got to pay for a digital antenna, and you can't pick up any analog channels anymore because we needed that bandwidth for something else. What a load of shit. Man, I miss the good old days when you had independent news. You had local news, regional, and then you had your big, useless news. But I don't believe in fake news. I just believe in useless news. Like the kind of shit they tell you, is stuff you don't really need to know. It's not going to affect you any, but well, there are some events that do affect everybody. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, local news is dying. Just like one of the great traditions we had in Air America was, I don't know if you guys had this in the UK, but we had hosts who would, TV horror hosts on the weekends who'd host movies and shit like that. They're pretty much going online now because there's no such thing as, late night movie, on UHF anymore because there's a 200 billion channels of shit that people are going to watch other than local channels. That's why I kind of missed the good old days when we had 3, 5, 8, 19, 25, 43, 55, and 61, and occasionally 11 and 13, depending on the atmospheric conditions. But okay, someone goes, can I recommend yeah, go ahead and recommend anything you want in that chat box, okay? Yeah, I remember going out and having to adjust an antenna. We had a big, 30-foot like tower on the outside of the house with an antenna rotor, and I remember having to turn that sucker and go dun, 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 as it turned the antenna into place. I remember because if they didn't make ticket sales for the local football game, they'd black it out in the local area just to be assholes. So we had to wing the antenna around and watch it on Toledo Channel 11 or 13, if I remember right. But I remember back when we had just 3, 5, 8, 25, 43, and that was about it. Then came along 19 came later. I think it was 55, then 61. And one became the Home Shopping Network. Oh, God. Oh, thank you, Donna. I'm doing the best I can with that on that front. So back to novelizations going in the movies. Like one of the big discussions going around was like about Dune. They're redoing Dune. Matter of fact, for all you ladies out there, I got you some bad news. Jason Momoa has shaved his beard. The beard is gone. The beard is gone. It's gone away right down the trash. It's gonna stay. Well, he'll grow another one. He's Jason Momoa. Sure, he kind of looks a little dorky without it, but come on. The guy's got the body of an Olympian god, for crying the hell out loud. It's not like it's going to cause him any pain. But so Dune's coming out, now being made, and the problem is, like I said, how far are they going to go? Because I remember when Sci-Fi, oh God, how many remember the Sci-Fi version of Dune? Wasn't that a pile of shit? I'm not kidding. It was just horrible. And the sad part is, the best part, I think, was Baron Harkonnen, played by Simon Fisher-Becker. I think it was played by Simon Fisher-Becker. It's been a while since I watched it. But the thing was, while people do make fun of the Lynch one, I'll watch the Lynch one any day of the week. I still love the Lynch version of Dune. Yeah, I think it was the 2005 one, John. Yeah, it was like fucking horrible. It really was. It was like they went to such detail that they kept putting in all this stuff that while it was good in the book was just boring on screen. I'm like, yeah, but are you talking about Mid-Atlantic? Are you talking about Dune, the Lynch one? Then that was Kyle MacLachlan. And like I said, I thought he was phenomenal in that movie. And the David Lynch one. But look at the cast. Like I said, you had Sting, you had Kyle MacLachlan, Jurgen Prochnow, just a few off the top of my head that I can remember, just running off. And it was still an incredible cast, incredible movie. That's why a little while ago, I have the Steelbook version of it in the other room. Oh, Patrick Stewart. Oh, hell yeah, you're right. How could I forget Patrick Stewart as Gurney Halleck? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've heard it. Yeah, Eccleston's going to London Film and Comic-Con. We'll get around to Doctor Who in a minute, all right? But other than that, like I said, someone's like, where is there any Series 12 news? I was like, no, other than the fact they're Apparently filming at a school this week. It was a closed location, so we don't have a whole lot of data on that. So, yeah, Sean Young, yeah, before she went nuts. Apparently she lost it hardcore because she got passed up for the Catwoman role. She was up for Catwoman in Batman Returns, and of course, as we all know, Michelle Pfeiffer landed it. And so that kind of went south on her, and she kind of, kind of like, look what happened to poor Margot Kidder. She wound up living in a dumpster going nuts. I have watched the classic Star Trek movies. And no, I don't think Pearl Mackie will return. I'm sorry. Everybody who's ever been on the show has said, I'll happily come back if they want me to. But the problem is they never call them. Because, like I said, you'll notice I've really lost hope because in Series 11, while Moffat made the occasional reference to a bunch of shit back in the classic series, the only thing Chibnall made flat references to was stuff from the new modern series. So I've lost all hope of any, classic companions coming back ever. My firm opinion is they don't want to have another Sarah Jane Adventures on their hands. Whereas if they brought back somebody, then they might, there'll be an uproar. Like they barely swallowed it because when Paul McGann just reappeared for Night of the Doctor, there were thousands of people filing petitions. And I'm talking tens of thousands, not those little ones for We Are Change going, could you please sign this petition to make sure that Jodie Whittaker hops off a cliff? None of those petitions. I'm talking, there were like tens of thousands of signatures on these petitions demanding, they wanted a series with Paul McGann. And guess what? Swept under the rug with the stupidest excuse in the book. It's called the Moffat Dance. Moffat said, guess what? I think it would confuse the public if we were to have more than one doctor in the screen at a time. No, it's called he didn't want anything going on Doctor Who-wise. It wasn't under his control. In order to do that, they would have to assign a separate showrunner because I hate to sound like I'm throwing a little bit of shade here, but the guy didn't run that show for shit. He really didn't. When Julie Gardner, Russell T Davies were in charge of Doctor Who, at one point you had Doctor Who going out every year, you had Torchwood going out every year, and you had the Sarah Jane Adventures going out every year with no splits, no gaps. They were running 3 series at a time. Yet you got Jackass McQuack, who apparently can't rub his ass and jump up, scratch his head at the same time. I'm doing Sherlock this year, so I think I think we should take a year off, and then somebody up in the BBC would let him do it. Like I said, I don't know if there were handshakes involved of a certain kind. I don't want to know. All I know is this. Ain't it weird how one executive producer magically disappeared? Anybody remember the name Caroline Skinner? Who magically disappeared, just after, Adventure in Space and Time, about midway through it. She lands this cushy job for a while, and then she got a big fat salary bump, and then she magically out. All right. I don't know. But all I know is it's kind of convenient. You had that one big argument that got captured on film where you had Moffat shouting at the top of his lungs, I'm going to erase you from Doctor Who. Okay, the only issues American involvement had with Doctor Who was back in 96 when they co-produced the movie. And, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it from this end. Sorry. If I'm buffering, I'm buffering. You're just going to have to catch up. Let me know when you catch up. Okay, say something. Okay, so this is what happened. In 96, they made the big Doctor Who movie. Well, don't worry, you didn't miss nothing. You just missed me going, oh, okay. The only problem they had was, if I remember right, they co-produced it with Fox. Fox is infamous. Infamous as all hell that once they create something, they never let it go. Matter of fact, they're kind of like the Roach Motel of properties. Once they create a property, they never let it back out again. It's like, just to give you an example, how many people have ever seen the movie Serenity? Give me a hell yeah if you're still there. The movie Serenity. Have you watched it? My God, it went dead. Am I buffering again? Buffering. No. Okay, I'll wait till you guys get caught up. All right. Good. A few of you have. One thing you're never going to hear in that movie. Go back and rewatch it now. Because I don't know if you caught this, but they never mentioned the words Firefly in it. That's because while Joss, luckily in his infinite wisdom, owned the characters and the setting and all that, Fox owned the name Firefly. So that's how they were able to get the movie made with very little involvement from Fox. Matter of fact, they had to completely rebuild all the sets and everything. Don't worry, I'm getting to that. No, because what happened was, guess what? Multiple people have gone to Fox over the last, 10 or more years and said, look, we want to do something with Firefly. And guess what they told them? $350 million. I'm not exaggerating. That's one number I've heard from a very reliable source. If you want to use the name Firefly, $350 million. So they're infamous for that. And what happened? What the heck? Okay, has it restarted, anybody? Okay, like I said, I'm getting a warning here for some reason. So, yeah, once again, YouTube screwed some shit up. All right. YouTube sucketh mighty ass. All right. All right, how many here remember a television show named Titus? Give me a hell yeah if you do. If you don't, then it's like, All right. Just to give you an example, Titus was a comedy that ran for 3 years. It was based off the writings of a comedian named Christopher Titus. Even though they canceled him. Why? Fox executive wanted him to do with the show. But here's the rub. This is where it gets really good. Now, it's many years now later since Fox, canceled Titus. And he went ahead, now he does a podcast. When he was working for Titus, all right, now you folks who've seen the show, remember the opening part where you see the flames and you have that big flame logo with Titus on it? He drew that. That's his logo. But guess what? Since he drew it when he was under the employee of Fox, when he said he wanted to use it for the podcast and his new production company, no, you can't. We own it. So that's why he had to design the new logo that he's using now for his podcast, because Fox owns it. His original one that he drew. He drew it with his own hands. Get out. We own it. And I'm not kidding. That's how it works. Because they just are. They have always been utter bastards. Once they get their hands on something, they will never let it go. I'm not kidding. We're talking like a hooker doing a hand job with their hands covered with crazy glue. They will never let go of it. Ever. All right. It's just that's why I'm kind of worried about the Orville. I'm really glad it's doing well, but later down the line, guess what? We own it. But you see, but what I love about Seth MacFarlane is he's one of the few people who bent Fox over and goes, "You're my little bitch, Fox." He does, because when they canceled Family Guy,